Hey everybody, John the Other here, obviously. Hello all you motherfuckers. Okay, today I want to talk about the UBC's upcoming new sexual misconduct policy. Now, normally I would call that a sexual assault policy, but UBC's language calls it a sexual misconduct and sexual assault policy. So what's the difference? Why do we have this vague phrase? Well, they define the phrase, and I'll read you the definition. Sexual misconduct, according to their policy, is any act or sexual act targeting an individual's sexuality, gender identity, or gender expression, which is to say fashion choices, whether the act is physical or psychological in nature, that is committed, threatened, or attempted against an individual without that individual's consent. Interestingly, an act that is psychological in nature is named explicitly in the first paragraph of their definition of sexual misconduct in their proposed sexual misconduct policy. So, thought crime is in their sexual misconduct / sexual assault policy. Now, I'm not going to go line by line through it in this video, although I will be doing that in future videos. I'm going to talk generally about what this policy is structured to implement. People making complaints, that is to say female students on the UBC campus making complaints of sexual misconduct, are defined in two acts of making a complaint. One is what they call in the policy disclosure. Now, that's not the disclosure that you're familiar with if you're familiar with the law. This is just telling the university administration that you have a complaint to make. Not telling any details about what that complaint is, just saying you have a complaint to make. That is disclosure. The second part is the complaint itself. The complaint itself in this policy is not necessary. It's optional. And the reason these two things are separated in UBC's new sexual assault policy, link in the low bar, is that just making the disclosure that you have a complaint to make without any of the details of it, that is enough to activate all of the compensatory benefits that a person making a complaint gets. And those benefits are many and varied. You can become relieved of your academic responsibilities if you're in a course that you're failing. Make a sexual misconduct complaint, and you are no longer required to take a academic penalty if you drop that course or if you fail it. You're just free to go. If, for example, you can't get into a course because of limited seating or you didn't get good enough grades, you can get access to courses compensatory by making a sexual assault complaint. If you can't get housing, you can get access to preferred housing by making a sexual misconduct complaint. Or if you already have housing and you would like better housing, you can get access to it by making a sexual misconduct complaint. For example, if you aren't getting the funding that you need to take whatever courses or to get into a program, or you would just like some money, well, you can get access to funding by making a sexual misconduct complaint. So, just that part alone has incentivized a radical growth in the number of complaints, and I think this is by design, by the people who engineered this policy. The second interesting part is there is an administrative wall between a person making a complaint and a person complained about. The person who is complained about has to be named, obviously, but doesn't need to be told who is complaining about them or what the complaint is. And because the complaint is made in a two-part process, disclosure meaning I have a complaint to make, plus the complaint, which is the optional part, there's no way to challenge the details of a complaint. Well, I was never at that place where they said something happened. I actually wasn't there. And I have, air tickets or proof of me being somewhere else to prove. No. There's no challenging of a complaint because they have separated the notification of a complaint and the details of a complaint, and they've also separated, through administrative process, the ability of the person complained about to know anything about who is making a complaint or what the details are. And because the university is going to give a bunch of compensatory benefits to people making complaints, you're going to have a radical growth in the number of complaints and a complete removal of responsibility for any truthfulness in complaints. This is a process by which students of the female sex are going to use to advance get better grades, get out of courses that they're failing, get better housing, get access to funding, and so on and so forth. And male students on campus are going to be fuel pellets for this academic career advancement through the making of complaints. Male students on campus shouldn't be afraid, they shouldn't be worried, they shouldn't get lawyers. They are just toast. But worse than that, the university has actually put in place, well, they haven't enacted this policy yet, but they are putting in place through this policy a way to drain the university of resources without merit. By students not meriting the use of those resources, the university is going to bankrupt itself through this policy, because you're going to have an endless train of complaints, free cash and prizes. I'll be talking about this policy more in future videos. Put a link to it in the low bar. And male UBC students, you are toast. You are fuel pellets. Enjoy. Thanks very much for watching, and as always, have a lovely day.